Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. Well, hello there. I'm so glad to see you all. It is Tuesday, and you know what that means? You know what Tuesdays are. I'm glad you're here, Trisha, too. And there's our girls, Sandy and Jocelyn and Jennifer and Catherine in the house. You know what I love about Tuesdays? I love about Tuesdays because we're live. This is the day that you will find us live here on the program. And the rest of the time you're going to be getting best ofs. But listen, we've been doing a program every day since 2019. Do you know how much content we have? A ton. And this is freeing up time for me to work on other projects. So if you want to be here and if you want to come on down and be here for the live time, it's always going to be on Tuesdays. Tuesdays are my days where I'm just working on various projects. It's project day. Hi, Doris. So anyway, that's what I wanted to tell you about. And I'm just very glad that you're all here. And look, Deborah's here too. So is Mother Hen. Hey, cheers to you, Nancy. You know what I've got cooking in here, right? Some hot melt mix. Boop, boop, boop. Or not hot melt mix. That's Crave water. I already had my hot melt mix. Did you go to the gym today? Did you do your things? How are you doing? How is everybody doing on your sprint or your ultimate sprint or whatever? I'm getting very serious with my protein. I'm measuring it. Can you believe that? Hello, Martha. You know, this is the thing. The more I learn, the more I feel like this sense of urgency. You know what I'm talking about? This sense of urgency that, I was thinking today, I don't want to be a stooped over, bent over, sad old lady. I want to be an old lady that everybody goes, whoops, here she comes, right? So if I want to set that up, I got to do it now. It's not going to just happen. Hey, Linda. It's true. If we want something, then we need to go after it with everything that we have. And I've got plenty to talk about today. Today I'm going to be talking about grit and not quit. I had a big fat lesson yesterday about that whole thing, and it kept me up last night. And this morning I changed my mind on something. I changed my mind. I followed my own advice. I changed my mind, and I'm going to be sharing a lot of that with you. But the thing that's going to blow your mind is this week's quote. This week's quote. Jennifer says, I'm listening. Good. This week's quote's going to blow your lid. Okay? You have to want your dreams more than your drama. Excuse me. That didn't come out very well, did it? So Jen Sincero, this is her. Jen Sincero. She wrote the book Badass Habits, but she also wrote You Are a Badass. And she is one of the people that I would consider to be on my advisory board. She doesn't know it yet, but she is. Because she kicks ass. She doesn't sit around and talk about it. She says, if you don't, then you will get exactly what you've always gotten. Is basically what she says. Good for you. Never stopped. I haven't had sugar in over a year. Good for you, Sandy. I'm so proud of you. And doesn't that make you feel differently? We can always start with how we feel. If you're feeling great and doing all kinds of crazy stuff, go for it. But if you feel like crap, hello, that's your wake-up call. That is your wake-up call. And one of the things that she said too, in this book, Badass Habits, I picked it up off the shelf and I just opened it up randomly. And this one hit me like a ton of bricks. You can literally accomplish anything you set your mind to. It doesn't matter how many times you've messed up. because your failures and face plants are all a part of your journey, right? So while huge hat tip to Sandy, she hasn't had any sugar in over a year. If you're looking at that and going, oh man, it's not me, man. I'm just like, I totally had my face in the cookies last night or whatever. So what? You messed up. What do you want? Do you want to go after your dreams or do you want to continue with the drama? Man, that's a quote. That is a quote. And I would suggest if you have not read You Are a Badass or Badass Have, I've got all of her books. You Are a Badass with Money. You Are a Badass, period. Big time New York Times bestseller. And then the Badass Habits came out too. I think that's her brand, Badass, right? So I just say, to all of you, do your thing, but constantly be evaluating, because this is where the truth of what's going on in your life really comes out. It's not your Facebook post, or it's not about you saying, oh, this is how I am or whatever. It's always going to bear out. And so this morning, I did not want to go to the gym. Nope, didn't want to go. But I finally said, you know what? 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm out the door. And guess what? I was out the door. And by the time I got there, I'd worked myself into it. And today is arm day. And I pushed it hard, and I looked and I saw the reflection of my back in the mirror. And I went, girlfriend, you've got some muscle. That's looking pretty good. So you can see the results of the work that you do. And you can also see the results of the work you don't do, right? That's how it works. So that was amazing. So I'm going to just tell you, where, by the way, who am I missing here? Who loves to hear all about my pickleball stories? Well, she's not here right now. Jane, this is a pickleball story. But, it's so funny how the sport you pursue relates to your life. And by the way, on Netflix, there's a movie called Naiad. And Annette Bening plays Diana Naiad, and Jodie Foster plays, I think her name was Amanda. I'm not sure, but her best friend who ended up being her coach. Incredible movie. And part of it, it kind of framed her ego. She was a little bit of an eccentric, but aren't we all? But I liked just this perseverance was just ridiculous. And it reminded me of what I needed. And I needed to see that movie last night. It was absolutely right on. I needed to see that movie. I needed to be reminded that it's all about what I want to pull out. It's all about my strength, my inner gumption, my grit. Nobody else's. Everybody else is on their own thing. Everybody else has their own gig that they're doing. Everybody else is doing themselves. I got to do myself. I got to do me. I got to go out there. If I'm going to say this is a dream and I don't pursue it with everything that I've got, then I don't have the right to earn it. And sometimes in the midst of earning your way toward that dream and working your tush off for it, you don't quite make it. You fail. So yesterday, I play in this competitively. I told you this competitive thing is, it was Duper Monday. And Duper is the scoring system for how they rank you, right, in pickleball. And I will tell you, I had my hiney handed to me about 6-8 games. I don't even remember how many games we played, but I was just at the very end, I was stunned that all of my games, I lost every single one of them. My Duper score went way down. And I was stunned. And I've been taking lessons. I've been doing drilling. I've been doing the work. Why is this happening? Right? Why is this happening? Well, if I want my dream more than I want my drama, then I'm just going to have to get really analytical in it. I have to get into the weeds with it, because sometimes it's not a matter of how much you work, but if you're working on the right things. And so that's what really hit me last night. And when I watched Diana Knight, she didn't give up. I was actually talking to somebody on the courts yesterday who says, I hate this Duper stuff. And I said, I'm willing to start something else. We go do it at my home courts in Conisty. And Afterwards, I was kind of ashamed of myself for saying that, for giving up, for wanting to throw in the towel, for wanting to run away from something that I didn't care for that much or love. But it was something that scares me. And it's something that puts the fear of God in me when I go out there. I know it's dramatic, but I need to follow my dream and do the work and do the proper work and be all about that. So I want to talk about that. Because defeat is, setbacks can be challenging. Setbacks can put you in a different mindset than you want to be in. It's easy to have a good mindset. It's easy to think positively when things are just going your way. And then when the hits the fan and things just don't go right and you've been working hard and look at what happened. Life is unfair. It just happens that way. It's just the way it is. Hey, Helen. We have to look at our setbacks as an opportunity to learn something from it, right? That's what we have to do. And as I look back on yesterday, and I think I was in a big hurry in the morning. Mark drove, which always makes me a little bit crazy. I want to be driving. I want to be thinking. I want to have the music blasting. I didn't have my normal thing. Because I didn't have my normal thing, I didn't have my normal feel good stuff when I got in there. I was in a big hurry. I was sitting in the passenger seat putting my shoes on. And then I ran in there and I didn't do my proper warm-up. All the things, right? All the things. Hey, Sue. So this is what I've been going through personally. It's just, the thing is that we have to set up our success. We can't just wing it. We can't just open the refrigerator door and say, well, I'll try to make something out of this. No, we have to plan for those 140 grams a day of protein that we're eating. We have to plan for that. We have to weigh it out even at the beginning so that we can get a good idea of what it is. We have to be about the business of being the best that we can possibly be. And the only reason, and that's not being a perfectionist, by the way, that is acting on the call that's on your life. You hear me on this? We're not here to just take up space. We're not here to sit on the couch. We're not here to just, do the best that we can and just, it. We're here to live our lives excellently. We're here to be on a mission. We're here to be called. And we're here to listen for the call on purpose, for purpose. There's just no escaping it. No human on the planet can escape it. And the whole thing is, are you willing to answer the call? Right? And everything falls into place. It's like and I'm not saying, y'all, please understand, I'm not saying that pickleball is my calling, but pickleball has been the crucible for learning and applying this stuff. I look at it from the perspective of my business. I look at it in the perspective of my personal life, my relationship with my husband. So many things, so many things, because if we are pursuing excellence, then we're giving it our all. We're going after it. And then when we experience disappointment and crushing, whatever happens, whatever it is, however it is, whatever, makes you feel that way. I know Mark said to me, it's like, just let it go. That's how he looks at Duper. Just let it go. And I said, okay, yeah, I get it. I get why you would say that. But for me, it was a thing because it represented a lot of stuff for me. Okay. So the thing was that I was teetering on the edge of just saying, I'm not going to do this anymore. Just play normally, whatever, and not get all, competitive and all that. And I thought that's not what's the best thing for me. The best thing for me is to stay in the heart. The best thing for me is to persevere. The best thing for me is to push harder. The best thing for me is to analyze what the heck is going on here. Take a look at everything. Take a look at what's my training like. My training has kind of slacked off a little bit. Ooh, there's a red flag there. Let's fix that. What's my eating been like? Good. Weekends, not so much. Let's stop that. What's my hydration been like? Pretty much on point, but I probably could do better. What's my sleep been like? Not as good as I'd like. All the things have merited an evaluation. All the things have caused me to say, I need to be looking at that. Because if I don't look at it and analyze it, who's going to do that for me, by the way? Anyone? Yeah? No, I don't have a personal trainer. I don't have, all this stuff. I'm in charge of my life. I'm in charge. And if I want my dreams, then I leave the drama. You hearing me on this? If I want the dream, I leave the drama for everything. For everything. So what do I have to do? Start number one. I acknowledge the setback. I acknowledge the emotional toil. I acknowledge the part where it kind of rocked my world and I felt sorry for myself and I wanted to leave. I wanted to go do something else. I wanted to start something else. But I'm going to say this, and this is what I started doing over and over and over in my head, and that is stop and listen. This is part of the learning process. What could I learn? Am I doing everything the same? Do I need to fix things? And the answer was, of course, there's something there that's wrong. If you're losing every single game, something is. It's not just my partner. It's not the wind. It's not, you know what I mean? There's me. I was the common denominator. What can I do? We also have to reframe the experience because honestly, this is what cognitive behavioral therapy is, by the way, is a reframe. Because we can take a negative experience and turn it into a learning experience by just simply looking at it and saying, hey, what was there for me to learn? Well, I probably didn't get up fast enough. I probably did this. And I noticed something. And I'm going to start this, by the way. Do you know what an agility ladder is? It's like this flat ladder that they lay on the floor. And you just have to go through, like doing bunny hops and in and out, back and forth. But they're like $12 on Amazon. Guess who's buying an agility ladder? I'm going to be putting it out in my driveway and I'm going to do those exercises. I need to be faster. This is something that I learned, right? So I reframed the experience. And then the other thing is, the books are all going to tell you set realistic goals. And I say set realistic goals, yes, but make sure they're excellent and make sure they're a little bit aggressive because we don't learn anything by being soft on ourselves. We don't learn anything if we can't bite our teeth and just grind through it and get through it. What do you think grit is? Grit's the stuff that you throw in your paint that you put on your stairs so that you don't fall down them. Grit is an irritant. Grit is the thing that says, I'm going to hold on to you a little bit. That's it. So when you're a little bit aggressive with your goals, it allows you to harness your inner strength in your own grit. Because it's reminding you of, yes, you can do another set. I did that today, all day. I made myself do one extra set. And you know why I did it? Because I knew I could, and I knew I'd have to push through it. And I needed that. I needed that kick in the butt. I'm asking you this as you're sitting here listening to all of this. Is any of this like hitting a tender spot? You've been too easy on yourself? The other thing is we have to practice self-compassion because I will tell you, you will get nowhere if you beat yourself up. Nowhere. Do you know why? Because you do it all the time, probably in your head anyway, or you've been listening too long to other people who've done all of that. And the whole point of it is that if we don't offer ourselves the self-compassion that we desperately need and giving ourselves, that doesn't mean we're giving ourselves a pass, by the way. Self-compassion doesn't mean that. It just means that you just look at the failure and say, I can handle this. And you look at it and say, there's lessons there. That's self-compassion. And you know what? I'm going to do better next time. That's self-compassion. Giving yourself a pass and just saying, oh, well, it was just too hard. It was just this. That's not ever going to help you out. Nobody needs that. We give ourselves a pass all the time. We need to give ourselves a little bit of an incentive and self-compassion to say, you're okay just the way you are, even if you go next week and miss all 6 games, 8 games again, right? That's self-compassion. And then build a support system. Gosh, you know what? I'm so grateful for the women that I have here that are a support system. I had a group lesson that I was that I had to do afterwards, and I went in there and just was just kind of a little numb by the whole thing. But I was so grateful for these women because it was fun to be with them and to work on things together. You know, we get to set up our support systems. If you don't have a support system, how are you ever going to get through this? Right? If you're trying to build new habits, if you're trying to get yourself to however many grams of protein a day that you need, if you're trying to do whatever, we need support systems. We need somebody to say, hey, this is what I'm doing. What do you think? Does this look right to you? We need to be accountable. That's part of being in a support place. That makes you feel vulnerable. It's kind of risky. But guess what? It also opens up this place of encouragement and somebody saying, "Atta girl," and somebody's going to say something to you at some point. I promise that you're going to remember forever and ever. So remember, you can be that voice of encouragement to someone else, And isn't it nice to be an encourager? Isn't it nice to feel encouraged? That's what happens when we have a support system. And we also can never, ever, ever stop remembering that we need to have a growth mindset to take this all the way. The growth mindset is the intelligence to know that we can change our minds, that we can change our thinking, that we can develop new skills, that we can be better than we are. I had somebody one time tell me that, well, at your age, you just can't, blah, blah, blah. And then I watched Diane, and I was so happy to watch Diane and Nayad's movie, Nayad. Again, watch it, because everybody kept saying, it can't be done, it can't be done. You're too old, you're too old, you're too old. She was 64 when she finally did it. And she was in her 60s when she made 3 attempts that failed, by the way. She didn't quit. And then we have to visualize our success. She saw herself swimming across that ocean. She saw it, and she kept getting better at it each time. She kept doing things that she needed to do in order to make it work. Those manta rays or whatever, belly box jellyfish or whatever that were stinging her in the face, they got a mask for her. It was a full rubber mask that went right over her face and stopped her from getting stung. We get like this when we're analytical. And we get like this when we start to see what is it that will make our success happen. And then we start to visualize how we can do it. We see ourselves at the gym. We see ourselves on the pickleball court. We see ourselves doing something that lights us up. Yeah, that lights us up. Sandy watched it last night. I think they could have spent more time on Find a Way and just that whole whatever. Instead, I think they spent too much time on her wild, crazy personality. She was a little bit narcissistic, but okay. Another thing that we need to do is we have to, as we're going through everything, we need to maintain what we're doing. Just because you went off the rails doesn't mean we throw the whole thing out. Just because you went off the rails doesn't mean you just say, well, does that work? Has it ever worked for you? No. Do the things that you need to do in order to keep yourself well. Do the hydration, move your body, get to bed at a decent hour and get your sleep. All these things, when we maintain just that core physicality that we all need, it's amazing how much effect in your body chemistry it is. It's crazy. And then cultivate that grit, because you know what? I will tell you, grit doesn't just happen. It doesn't just get thrown across your life like fairy dust. Grit is cultivated by the fact that you don't quit. You get grit, and you get this perseverance, and you get this tenacity where you're just like, that's not going to happen again. I'm going to make this different for the next time. That's grit. And you get to do that. We all get to do that. And there's a whole bunch of science, and you'll be in your show notes tomorrow. By the way, tomorrow's newsletter comes out, so make sure that you're signed up so that you get that. And tomorrow's newsletter will have the show notes about all the science that's behind this. And it's important because if we lose sight of the fact that we all are born with this innate desire to fulfill dreams that we have, and where do you think they come from anyway? You know? Don't you think they're planted in our heart by the Creator himself? I do. I believe that. And I believe too, with all of my heart, that when we follow our dreams and not our drama, we end up in the place where we need to be. And maybe we're not going to get there as quick as lightning, as quickly as we want to. But maybe we will get there if we just persevere, if we stay the course, if we don't quit on ourselves. I think the ultimate tragedy is quitting on ourselves. The ultimate tragedy is not being the woman that you have been called to be. We all have a calling on our lives, every single one of us. So as you're thinking about this, hopefully thinking about the show, thinking about what we've talked about here with this quote of the week, you know, you have to want your dreams more than your drama. Think about, how does that apply to my life? What do I need to do in order to have less drama and more dream? Because the dream is your calling. The dream is your purpose. Your dream is what separates the sheep from the goats. So think about that as you go about your day, as you're creating those habits, as you are putting it all together, because it's the grit that's going to hold your feet to the fire. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today for the live show. I appreciate it. And tomorrow will be another best of, and so will Thursday, and we will be back next Tuesday live. In the meantime, you can find me, of course. Send in an email to support@savingdinner.com. I'm here for you. Appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Peace.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.